The Golden State Warriors walked away from the 2026 Las Vegas Summer League as champions, and the man at the center of it all was their prized rookie, Yakel Lendorg. The first-year forward was named Summer League MVP after putting together a performance that turned heads across the entire league. His shooting touch, playmaking ability, and competitive instincts made a strong early impression. But winning the MVP award does not mean the work is done. Far from it. There are clear areas where Lendorg must sharpen his game before the real season tips off, and he is already aware of most of them. Hey, what's up, everyone? Before we jump into everything today, that like button right there is what decides if this video hits hundreds or thousands of people. 1 second is all it takes, but the impact on this channel is massive. Go ahead and hit that like button right now. Seriously, it's the simplest thing you can do, and honestly, the best way to back this content up, because every single like pushes this further. So hit it now. Start with what Lendorg did right, because there was plenty. He knocked down 45.9% of his three-point attempts during the Summer League, an exceptional figure for a player his size. Standing at 6'9" and 250 pounds, he brings a combination of length and shooting range that the Warriors can build around on offense. He also averaged 4.0 assists per game, showing the ability to read the floor and find teammates in motion. On the defensive end, he contributed 2.3 combined steals and blocks per game, a number that reflects his instincts and awareness as a disruptive force. He was also at his best when the pressure was highest, delivering in both of Golden State's summer playoff games against the Lakers and the Grizzlies. His performance in the championship game helped seal the title and confirmed his status as the standout player of the entire event. But scouts and coaches around the league also noticed some areas that need work, and Lendorg himself was honest about it. The first challenge is on-ball defense. Lendorg has good instincts and awareness when playing off the ball, but when he is tasked with staying in front of quicker guards and wings at the point of attack, he shows some limitations. He gave up too many blow-bys during Summer League, allowing opposing guards to drive past him with relative ease. Part of that may come down to conditioning. Getting into better shape and improving lateral quickness will help him in those situations. Importantly, Lendorg already acknowledged this in his own words after the tournament. He said he has been hearing that his hips are stiff and that he needs to work on being a stronger point of attack defender. That kind of self-awareness is rare for a rookie, and it signals a player committed to growth. Anyone who is 6'9" and carries that kind of frame is never going to be the most nimble defender laterally. That is just the reality of physics, but Lendorg can minimize those matchup problems by improving his footwork, his anticipation, and his ability to use his length to contest shots even when he gets beaten off the dribble. His showing against Cameron Boozer in the Summer League final offered some encouragement that he can compete physically against other big athletes. The second concern is defensive awareness in team settings. This one is a bit more forgivable given the circumstances. Playing with an entirely new group of teammates in a condensed Summer League environment is genuinely difficult. Chemistry does not develop overnight, and rotations take time to learn. Lendorg was caught out of position on a few occasions, either losing his man on rotations or failing to read the Warriors' zone defense correctly. However, this is the kind of issue that almost always gets corrected through training camp repetitions and regular season experience. He is clearly intelligent enough to process and adjust. The more persistent concern here is the amount of space he gives to perimeter shooters when one pass away from the ball. He would sometimes drift too far toward the lane, tracking the driver, and leave a shooter with a step of separation. If that tendency carries into NBA games, opponents will exploit it consistently. The third area is his decision-making as a passer. Lendorg has outstanding vision. He reads the game the way most rookies simply cannot. His assists totals prove that. Over the course of Summer League, he finished with 32 assists, a strong number that reflects genuine playmaking talent. But he also recorded 19 turnovers, which tells a different story. Too often, Lendorg tried to thread the ball into tight windows when the smarter play was to reset or hold. He attempted a one-handed, full-court bounce pass during the championship game that would have been a viral highlight if completed. Instead, it sailed incomplete and counted as an unforced turnover. Great passers are defined not only by the passes they make, but by the passes they choose not to throw. Learning when to hold the ball and when to attack is a skill that develops with experience and with the confidence that comes from trusting teammates in clutch situations. At the NBA level, those windows close faster and defenders recover more quickly. Lendorg will need to refine his risk assessment on the fly. The instincts are there. The finishing touch is still coming. Overall, this Summer League run was a major positive for the Warriors and their franchise. Lendorg showed far more strengths than weaknesses, and the areas for improvement are all coachable. Golden State has every reason to be excited about what comes next. Charles Barkley cannot seem to let it go. The NBA Hall of Famer and longtime television commentator has spent years making his feelings about the Golden State Warriors crystal clear, and once again he finds himself at the center of a debate he started years ago that refuses to die. A video clip from a podcast appearance Barkley made 3 years ago on a show hosted by brothers Travis and Jason Kelce has resurfaced on social media and gone viral all over again, reigniting frustration among Warriors fans who are tired of hearing the same dismissive narrative about their franchise superstar, Stephen Curry. In the clip, Barkley expressed his admiration for Curry while simultaneously undercutting it with a take that left many people scratching their heads. His argument was simple and blunt. Curry, in Barkley's view, could never have survived the physical punishment that Michael Jordan absorbed during his era in the 1990s. Barkley suggested that if Curry had been subjected to the kind of contact Jordan routinely took during his championship runs with the Chicago Bulls, the Warriors' star would have been broken apart by the punishment. It is the kind of argument that sounds provocative on the surface, but falls apart the moment you examine the facts. This is not a new debate. The same logic was trotted out repeatedly in 2016 when the Warriors broke the NBA's regular season wins record by going 73-9. Critics of Golden State were quick to point out that the 1995-96 Chicago Bulls were a superior team, using the physicality of 1990s basketball as their primary argument. The idea was that modern players, including Curry, had it easier because today's referees call the game differently and protect offensive players more. While that contains a grain of truth in terms of officiating philosophy, using it to diminish what Curry has accomplished is a flawed and lazy argument. Curry has never had an easy road. Anyone who has watched him closely over the past decade understands that he has always attracted aggressive, physical defense. Opponents have made it their mission to knock him off his rhythm by bodying him up, reaching in, grabbing his jersey, and bumping him before he can get his shot off. He receives fewer foul calls per game than most star players of his caliber, which means he is not getting the protection the argument implies he receives. Social media users were quick to remind people of this fact after the clip went viral, with footage circulating online showing just how physically guarded Curry has been throughout his career, averaging 30 points per game across 3 quarters while absorbing constant contact. The examples are not hard to find. Just last season, Houston Rockets guard Dillon Brooks delivered what many observers considered a borderline punch to Curry's midsection and received only a flagrant foul, not an ejection. Head coach Steve Kerr, who played alongside Michael Jordan in Chicago during those very 1990s seasons Barkley holds up as the gold standard, was furious at the non-call. The point is clear: Curry plays through contact regularly, and his body of work has been built on toughness as much as skill. What makes Barkley's repeated fixation on the Warriors so puzzling is that it goes beyond analysis. There is an emotional undertone to his comments that has been evident for years. He has publicly rooted against the Warriors on multiple occasions, made dismissive predictions about their chances, and consistently returned to the same well of anti-Golden State commentary. Some observers have pointed out the obvious: Barkley won 0 NBA championships in his career, while Curry has 4 rings. It is a difficult comparison to sit with, and for someone as competitive as Barkley, it may explain why he struggles to give the Warriors franchise its full credit. There is nothing wrong with debate about different eras in basketball history. Those conversations are part of what makes the sport fascinating. The question of how players from different generations would match up is fun to explore, but that conversation has to be grounded in honesty and fairness. Dismissing Curry as someone who could not handle the physicality of a different era without acknowledging the physical demands of his own career is not analysis. It is bias dressed up as insight. Warriors fans have seen what Curry is made of for over a decade. 4 championships, multiple scoring titles, the greatest shooting numbers in the history of the sport, and a style of play that permanently changed how basketball is played at every level, from the NBA down to youth leagues worldwide. Kids now grow up practicing 3-point shots from the logo because of how Curry redefined the boundaries of the game. No era comparison, no podcast clip, and no frustrated Hall of Famer can erase that legacy. Barkley had an extraordinary career and deserves his place in basketball history, but so does Stephen Curry. The sooner people like Barkley accept that, the less they will need viral old clips to stay relevant in a conversation the Warriors already won 4 times over. The rings speak louder than any podcast take, and they always will. The story of Klay Thompson and the Golden State Warriors may not be over yet. The 4-time NBA champion and 5-time All-Star made comments over the weekend at Fanatics Fest in New York that set social media on fire, strongly hinting that a return to Golden State is something he genuinely wants. For Warriors fans who watched Thompson leave in free agency 2 years ago to join the Dallas Mavericks, his words hit differently. The question is no longer whether Thompson wants to come back. The question is whether the Mavericks will give him the chance. Thompson appeared at the fan event and engaged with supporters on multiple occasions across the weekend. In one interaction that quickly went viral, a fan told him he was missed at the Warriors, and Thompson responded with a simple but loaded phrase, "Never say never." That alone would have been enough to generate a wave of speculation. But Thompson did not stop there. In a separate fan exchange, he was asked directly whether he planned to return to Golden State. His answer was candid and emotional. "Shoot, I don't know. I've got 1 year left on my deal. It would be nice to end it in Golden State." Those words carry real weight. Thompson is now 36 years old, and in the final year of a 3-year contract he signed with the Mavericks worth $17.5 million annually. He left Golden State after 13 years to chase another title with what looked at the time like a legitimate finals contender. Dallas had just come off an NBA Finals appearance, and Thompson believed he was joining a team positioned to win a championship. That plan fell apart in dramatic fashion when the Mavericks shockingly traded franchise cornerstone Luka Doncic midway through Thompson's first season. The team's direction changed completely overnight, leaving Thompson as a veteran presence on a rebuilding squad with no realistic path to the playoffs. His first and only season in Dallas was difficult by every measure. He shot at career worst percentages and saw his role shrink considerably, something that would have been unthinkable just a few years earlier. The 5-time All-Star who once formed one of the most feared shooting backcourts in NBA history alongside Stephen Curry suddenly found himself coming off the bench for a team in transition. It was a hard fall, and the circumstances surrounding it were largely outside his control. That context matters when discussing the Mavericks' responsibility going forward. The argument being made by several analysts is that Dallas owes Thompson a buyout. The previous Mavericks regime made promises to Thompson about the team's direction and competitive window that simply did not hold up. He was brought in under one set of expectations and found himself in a completely different situation almost immediately. Now, under new management, the Mavericks are in a rebuilding phase, and Thompson at 36 does not fit neatly into their long-term timeline. If the Mavericks are unwilling or unable to find a trade partner who values that $17.5 million contract, a buyout would allow Thompson to sign with any team of his choosing. That is where Golden State enters the picture. The Warriors have expressed interest in veteran additions this offseason, and the emotional pull of a Thompson homecoming would be significant for both the player and the fan base. However, the Warriors front office, led by Mike Dunleavy Jeter, is not expected to be aggressive with roster moves that would compromise their long-term flexibility, and the likelihood of trading a young asset like Moses Moody to facilitate the reunion is considered low. That means the most realistic path to a Thompson return to Golden State runs directly through the Mavericks and their willingness to grant him a buyout. If Dallas does the right thing by a player who was put in an impossible situation through no fault of his own, Thompson would become a free agent and could sign with the Warriors on whatever terms the market allows. The emotional case for a reunion is powerful. Thompson spent 13 years building 4 championships with Golden State, endured 2 devastating long-term injuries during that period, and fought his way back each time. His resilience became part of the Warriors' identity. His departure left a hole that went beyond statistics. From a basketball standpoint, a healthy and motivated Thompson still brings real value as a catch-and-shoot weapon and as an experienced voice in a locker room that includes talented but young players. Veterans of his caliber, with 4 rings and playoff experience at the highest level, are rare. Even at a reduced role, a Thompson signing would give Golden State proven depth and championship DNA at the wing position. Whether that happens remains to be seen, but one thing is no longer in doubt: Thompson wants to come home, and Warriors fans are listening closely. The next move belongs to Dallas.